Chapter 1. A Christmas Party. "Are you coming to this beach party, Amy?" shouted Claire. "If you don't hurry up, we'll miss the bus. There isn't another one for an hour after that," said Lisa. "I'm coming," said Amy, finally coming out of the bathroom. "Well, how do I look?" she asked her two best friends with a big smile. Claire and Lisa looked at each other and started to laugh. "What is it?" asked Amy, worried. "Amy, we're going to the Christmas party on Bondi Beach, not to a nightclub," said Lisa. "You can't stand up now in those shoes." "How are you going to dance all night?" laughed Claire. "You never know who we might meet," replied Amy, "just because you two don't understand anything about fashion. Come on, let's go." There were a lot of people already at the beach when they arrived. The music was loud, and even though the sun was starting to go down, it was still warm. This was where the three best friends wanted to be. For 2 years they planned this holiday. And finally, after hours of studying for exams, on Claire's 18th birthday, their plane took off from London's Heathrow Airport destination, Australia. Amy cuddled koala bears, Lisa bungee jumped off a bridge in Cairns, and Claire made them wake up really early so that she could take photos of Ayers Rock at dawn. But they all agreed snorkeling in the clear waters of the Great Barrier Reef was the best bit. And now they were in Sydney, where they planned to celebrate New Year. Next September, after this year of travelling, Claire was going to study art and photography at university. Claire wanted to become a photographer. It was the only job she wanted to do. Lisa was thinking about joining the police, although her dad didn't know it yet. He wanted her to study law and become a lawyer. And Amy wanted to marry someone who was rich so that she could go shopping all day every day. But now they still had another 6 months left of parties and fun. Look at all that delicious food. Barbecued sausages, burgers and steaks. "Let's have something to eat," said Claire. "Amy." "Claire?" interrupted Lisa. They looked at her. It was obvious that she wanted something. "I've forgotten my purse. Can I borrow $10? I've only got a few coins on me." "Again?" "You always forget to bring enough money," said Claire. "Yes, and you haven't given me back the $5 you owe me for dinner the other night," said Amy. Lisa looked upset. She didn't plan to forget her money. "It doesn't matter," she said. Angry, she went over to another group of friends. "Don't ask me for anything in future." Lisa shouted Amy and Claire, but she just ignored them. Later, as the party was finishing, Amy and Claire waited for Lisa so they could go back to the youth hostel together. There was a cool wind. "I think there might be a storm later on. I've got a headache and I always get a headache before a storm," said Amy. "Oh, where's Lisa?" "Maybe she went back to the youth hostel." "The last time I saw her was when we argued," said Claire. "What time is it?" asked Amy. 2 o'clock, answered Claire. "Perhaps she's at the hostel in bed." "Yes, come on. Everyone else has gone. And my feet are really hurting. I told you not to wear those shoes," laughed Claire. When they got back, Amy opened the door to their room with a nervous smile and said, "You missed a great party." But then she realized that Lisa wasn't in bed. She wasn't in the bathroom either. "Maybe she's met someone," said Claire hopefully. "Maybe," said Amy. "Let's go to bed. In the morning she'll tell us all about some gorgeous Australian that she met at the party," said Claire. But she didn't seem sure. "Maybe," said Amy. and as she heard the first sound of thunder, she realized that her feet didn't hurt anymore. Chapter 2. Where's Lisa? The girls' youth hostel was in the centre of Sydney opposite Hyde Park. When Amy woke up early the next morning, she was happy they had their own room. In some hostels, the rooms were bigger. You had to share with a lot of other people. Today, she didn't feel like being polite or nice to anyone. Their room was very small for 3 people, but there was a nice view of the park below. Lisa liked sitting in the park when she wanted to write in her diary. But this morning, when Amy looked out towards the park, she could only see their friend, Jack. He was sitting alone near the fountain reading a book. It was a beautiful sunny day now. The storm of the night before was over, just like a bad dream. "Claire, wake up," said Amy, touching Claire on the shoulder. "Another 5 minutes," said Claire, pulling the sheet over her head. "No, you've got to wake up now. Lisa's still not here. She didn't come back last night." Claire immediately threw the sheets off her and sat up. "Let's get dressed and we'll go downstairs and have some breakfast," said Claire. "Perhaps Lisa got up early and is already there." 5 minutes later, while they were going downstairs, they met Jack. Jack was travelling as well. He arrived in Sydney on the same day as the girls, and they met as they were checking into the hostel. The 4 of them soon became friends, and they often spent evenings together talking until late, sharing pizza and beer in the hostel's garden. Now it seemed like he was in a hurry. "Hello, Jack. Have you seen Lisa this morning?" asked Claire. "No, I haven't. She's not in the dining hall." "Why?" "Oh, it's probably nothing. If you see her, tell her that we're looking for her," said Amy. "I'm leaving today, so I probably won't. But if I see her—" "Sorry, I'm in a hurry and I must go and pack my things." Before they could say goodbye, he ran by them and into his room. Jack was right. There was nobody in the dining hall. "It's 7:15, it's still early. If we sit over there by the window, we'll see her when she comes back." "Do you want something to eat?" asked Claire. "No, I'm not hungry. I think I'll just have some orange juice," said Amy. In silence, Amy and Claire waited. Every time the door opened, they both looked up, hoping that it was Lisa. At 8 o'clock, the dining hall was starting to get busy, and their glasses of orange juice were still full. "Come on, I can't just sit here anymore. Let's go back upstairs to the room and try to call her on her mobile," said Claire. Back in the room, Amy dialed 3874529113. She walked up and down the room, waiting for the number to start ringing. "Okay, it's ringing," she said to Claire with a nervous smile. "Shh," said Claire suddenly. "What is it?" said Amy. She watched Claire go over to the bedside table and open the drawer. As she opened it, the ringtone of Lisa's phone filled the room. Amy hung up the phone, disappointed. "Amy, look! Lisa's purse is in here too." "So Lisa hasn't got her mobile or any money with her," said Amy. "Oh, Claire, where could she be? This isn't like her at all. What are we going to do?" Chapter 3: Searching for Lisa. For the next 4 hours, Amy and Claire walked around Sydney. They even walked the 10-kilometre Manly Scenic Walkway because they knew that Lisa liked the views from there. They asked everybody they knew, "Have you seen Lisa?" And they showed her photo to strangers. "This is useless," said Amy, looking at the view of Sydney Harbour. "Nobody has seen her." "Why don't we go back to Bondi Beach?" "Maybe somebody will remember her from the party last night," said Claire. "Okay," agreed Amy. But if nobody there knows where she is, I think we should go to the police. Amy and Claire walked up and down the beach, showing everyone Lisa's photo. It was 2 o'clock. The sun was hot. I need to put some sun cream on, Amy said, looking at her red arms. Do you want to go to that bar over there and have some lunch? Then we can go to the police station, said Claire. Do you think something has happened to her? Before Amy could answer, a blonde Australian girl came over to take their order. Can we have 1 tuna salad, 1 chicken salad, and a large bottle of water, please? Asked Claire. Were you here yesterday at the party? Asked Amy hopefully. The waitress was very small and Amy thought she recognized her. Yes, but I was working. Did you see our friend? Asked Claire, showing her the photo. The waitress took the photo from Claire and looked at it carefully. Amy and Claire expected her to say no, but then she smiled. Ah, yes. I remember her. I remember thinking how pretty and tall she was. Amy and Claire became very interested. You don't remember if she was with anyone? Asked Claire. What time was it when you saw her? Interrupted Amy. It was about 11, and yes, she was talking to a man. He had black hair. Amy opened her mouth to ask another question, but the waitress stopped her. I'm sorry, but that's all I can remember. I didn't see his face. It was dark. With a kind smile, she went to get their food. Who's got black hair? Said Amy excitedly. But before she thought of anyone, her mobile started ringing. Her hand was shaking when she answered. Hello? Chapter 4. Lisa makes a phone call. Breathless, Lisa ran as fast as she could towards the telephone box. Her ankle hurt from when he pulled her into the house, but there was no time to think of that now. Only a few more steps. Oh, why did I have that stupid argument with Amy and Claire? Why did I forget my purse? Why did I trust him? She thought, with tears in her eyes. Looking constantly over her shoulder, she lifted the receiver. The inside of the telephone box was dirty and covered in graffiti, but luckily the phone was working. She put her only money, a $1 coin, into the phone and dialed Amy's number. On the second ring, Amy answered and Lisa started crying. Amy, oh, I'm so glad you're there. Lisa? Is that you? Where are you? I don't know. I need your help. The line was bad, and, because Lisa was crying, it was difficult to understand what she was saying. I'm sorry, there are things you don't know, things I have never told you about my dad. Lisa, that's not important. Calm down. Tell us where you are and we'll come and get you. Please hurry. He's coming after me, Lisa, what are you trying to say? Did someone hurt you at the party? He wants money from my dad to make him pay. Who? Lisa, you're scaring me. Tell me where you are and then phone the police, Amy said. I don't know the number. I don't know where I am. Suddenly, Lisa went cold. Somebody was standing behind her. He was there. She could feel him. Lisa, are you still there? Lisa, shouted Amy. Lisa stood terrified as she watched him take the phone from her and hang up. He was smiling at her, but it wasn't a nice smile. It was an evil, mad smile. Why didn't you stay at the house, Lisa? But it doesn't matter. Nobody will ever find you. Putting a baseball cap over his black hair, he pulled her out of the telephone box. Chapter 5. At the police station. We need to talk to somebody urgently, Amy told the policeman in the front office before he could even say hello. Something has happened to our friend Lisa and we need your help. She went missing last night. You must help us find her, said Claire. We got a phone call from her 5 minutes ago, interrupted Amy. She's in trouble, said Claire. Somebody has kidnapped her, shouted Amy. The officer looked confused and went inside. When he came back, there was another policeman with him. G'day. My name is Inspector Swanson. Would you like to come through here, please? He said, taking them into an untidy office. Please, take a seat. I understand that your friend is missing. What's her name? Lisa. Her name is Lisa McIntosh, said Claire. He sat down at his desk and started writing down the details. How old is she? 18. She'll be 19 next month, Amy said, trying not to cry. Inspector Swanson smiled kindly at Amy. He could see that both the girls were very worried. What was she wearing when she went missing? She was wearing blue jeans and a pink t-shirt, said Claire. Can you describe her to me? She has long curly blonde hair and blue eyes. This is a photo of Lisa, Amy said, and gave him one of their photos. She's very pretty and tall. About 1/75 of a meter, Amy said, remembering what the waitress said earlier. When was the last time you saw her? It was about 8:30 last night, said Claire. Are you sure she isn't with anyone she met at the party? A friend, perhaps? Inspector Swanson looked at them very seriously. No, not without telling us first, said Amy, shaking her head. We made a rule before we left England. If you want to stay out all night, then you have to tell the others where you're going, who with, and when you'll be back, explained Claire. Lisa knows that rule. She knows we'll be worried. Inspector Swanson listened carefully. He thought that they were telling him the truth. You told the other officer that somebody has kidnapped her, he said cautiously. Yes, the two girls said at the same time. That's a very serious thing to say. Swanson searched their eyes for any sign that they were lying, but they both looked back honestly. Lisa told us that, on the phone. So you have spoken to Lisa, he asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, about a quarter of an hour ago, said Claire, looking at her watch. Why don't you send some people to look for her? Asked Amy, starting to get angry. They were wasting time sitting here, filling in stupid forms when they could be looking for Lisa. Amy, said Claire, trying to calm her down. She turned to Swanson. I'm sorry, but we're really worried about Lisa. She said that a man was after her. A policeman knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt you, sir, but could I talk with you in private, please? He asked. I'm busy. Can't it wait? Said Swanson. It's very important, sir, said the policeman, and Swanson stood up. I won't be long. Can you finish filling in that form about Lisa, please? He told them, and went into another office. When he came back, his friendly eyes were dark with worry. Was that about Lisa? Asked Claire. Swanson sat down and took a deep breath before speaking. That phone call was from Scotland Yard in England. Judge McIntosh, the famous judge, has received a phone call. A man from Australia has told Judge McIntosh that he has kidnapped his daughter. The kidnapper wants his father to be released from prison and $200,000 Or what? Asked Claire and Amy at the same time. Or he will kill Lisa. Chapter 6. The Truth. Swanson ordered Amy and Claire to stay in his office while he organised his officers. Judge McIntosh, Lisa's father, was already on a plane with the money. Everybody seemed to be busy doing something to help Lisa. Amy and Claire felt like they were the only ones doing nothing. "We've got to do something, Claire," said Amy. "Lisa's our best friend." "You're right," replied Claire. Before Inspector Swanson came back, they walked out of the police station and into the late afternoon. "Which way do you think we should go, left or right?" asked Claire, looking down the busy street. Amy wasn't listening. She was looking at the photographs. They looked so happy. It was hard to believe that some of the photos were taken only a few days ago. "Why do you think she didn't tell us?" Claire turned around and realized that she was talking to herself. "Amy, you're not listening to me at all," she complained. Said Amy, still distracted by the photos. There was something wrong, but she couldn't work out what it was. "I said, why do you think Lisa didn't tell us that she has a famous dad?" "That's it," shouted Amy, making Claire jump. "Look," she said, showing the photos to Claire. "What, it's just us three having fun?" "No. Look again," insisted Amy. Claire took the photos from her and looked at them closely, but she couldn't see anything unusual. "He's on this photo we took in Cairns and this one at Ayers Rock. He's even on photos that were taken before we came to Australia. Look, this one was taken at Heathrow Airport." "Who said Claire?" She was starting to get impatient. How? Amy wasn't making any sense, and they didn't have time to waste like this. "See? Here in the background. That's more than a coincidence." Amy was pointing at the figure of a man with black hair in the background of the photos. "He's followed us. He's the monster who has kidnapped Lisa," she said angrily. "Amy," said Claire, putting a hand on Amy's arm to calm her. "I know that face." Jack interrupted Amy, but she wasn't looking at the photo. She was waving to a man across the street. Jack didn't see Amy. He walked quickly into a newsagent's. "I thought he was leaving Sydney," she asked, turning to Claire. But Claire's face was white. "You look like you've seen a ghost," smiled Amy. "Amy, the man in these photos, it's him. It's Jack." Chapter 7. The Kidnapper's Shadow. "Don't be ridiculous, Claire. Jack's our friend," laughed Amy nervously. But before she looked at the photo again, she knew that Claire was right. Amy felt sick. Lisa liked Jack. She trusted him. They all thought he was nice. "Look, he's coming out of the newsagent's now," said Claire. "I'm going to kill him," said Amy. She wanted to run over to him, but Claire stopped her. "No, don't be stupid. If you do that, we'll never find out where Lisa is. Let's follow him instead." "We should phone the police, though," said Amy, taking her mobile phone out of her bag. "There's no time," said Claire. "Come on." They started to follow him south through Hyde Park and then east, down Oxford Street. He was walking fast, and it was difficult not to lose sight of him in the busy street. It was still a public holiday, and a lot of people were out, enjoying the early evening sun and eating ice creams in the many bars of this lively neighbourhood. "Oh no," said Claire. "What's the matter?" asked Amy. She was staring at the back of Jack's head as he crossed the road a few steps in front of them. The traffic lights. "What traffic lights?" said Amy, confused. A tall woman with long brown hair stopped suddenly in front of her, obstructing her view. Amy wanted to push her out of the way. "They're red. He's going to get away," said Amy. Forced to stand still and wait, they watched Jack disappear into the crowd. It felt like an hour before the cars stopped and they could walk across the road. "It's useless," shouted Amy. We'll never find Lisa." "We can't give up now," said Claire. "I'm going to the police station," said Amy, refusing to go any further. But then, as she turned to go, she saw him again. Chapter 8. Finding Lisa. The house was on a pretty street in Paddington, a residential district south of Sydney Harbour, not far from the youth hostel. It was a Victorian house and was identical to all the other houses on that street. Claire and Amy watched as Jack went through the gate and into the house. Once they were certain that nobody was watching them, they walked to the rear of the house and looked through a window. It was very dirty, but they could still see inside. The outside of the house was beautiful, but the inside was horrible. The furniture was ripped and empty tins of food, pizza boxes and cans were on the floor. Lisa was sitting on an old chair in the living room. Her hands were tied and she looked frightened as she watched Jack. He was shouting and his face was red with anger. "For 10 years I lived here alone with my aunt. I couldn't even visit my dad because he was in prison in England." "I'm sorry," said Lisa, trying to calm him down. "No, you're not. You're not sorry. No, you're sorry that you're not out with your friends, laughing and having fun as usual. Well, what about me?" he screamed, out of control. "If you let me go, I won't tell anyone about this," said Lisa desperately. "Not Claire, not Amy. Nobody will ever know. It will be our secret." "You're a liar, just like your dad," he screamed, so loud it made Amy and Claire jump. "Do you think I could let you go now? After all this time? After all that he's done? My father was innocent. He told me he never did it. He was set up." Claire and Amy listened in silence, too scared to breathe. He looked so different from the kind, funny guy they shared pizza with. This was the real Jack. "I have planned this for a long time. I followed you and your stupid friends around Australia. And then you came to Sydney. When you argued with your friends on Bondi Beach, I was there. You knew me from the youth hostel and trusted me, and I could finally put my plan into action. Now your dad is going to pay. I hope he's got the money ready otherwise." He laughed a mad laugh in Lisa's face before rushing out of the house, locking the door behind him. Amy didn't wait 1 minute more. She took her mobile phone and dialed the number of the police station. "Hello, can I speak with Inspector Swanson, please? It's Amy Dixon." While Amy waited for Swanson to answer, Claire knocked on the window. "Lisa," shouted Claire, "everything's going to be okay. You're safe now." Chapter 9. Happy New Year. "I still don't understand why you didn't tell us about your dad," said Claire. It was New Year's Eve and Lisa's dad was paying for them to have dinner in an expensive restaurant. From their table there was a fantastic view of Sydney Harbour and the Opera House. The night sky was full of stars. The nightmare of the past few days was finally over. "I wanted you to like me for who I am, not because my dad was a famous judge," said Lisa. "Well, I don't care if your dad is a judge or if he cleans the streets. What are you going to order?" "I can't decide. I'm so hungry I could eat 2 of everything," said Amy. "We'll order some champagne first," said Lisa's dad. "I'm a lucky man. I always worried that something like this was going to happen." "It's over now, Dad. Because of Amy and Claire. Jack's in prison and he'll stay there for a long time. I want to get on with my life," said Lisa, and she kissed him on the cheek. "What are your New Year's resolutions?" asked Amy. "I'm going to give up chocolate. After I've tried that delicious-looking chocolate cake," said Claire. I'm going to retire, said Lisa's dad. Why? You can't do that. Your job means everything to you, said Lisa, surprised. I've thought about it for a long time, even before all of this happened. I want to spend more time with my family, he said, smiling at Lisa. My New Year's resolution is to remember my money and mobile phone when I go out, laughed Lisa. Cheers, laughed Amy, raising her glass. Dinner was delicious and they all ate too much. Have you thought about what you are going to study at university? He asked. Oh, Dad, don't be boring. It's New Year's Eve. There's lots of time to think about that, said Lisa, suddenly nervous. Your future is very important, he said seriously. I know, but Lisa knew that joining the police was what she definitely wanted. She also knew that sooner or later she needed to tell her dad about her decision, but she didn't want to ruin this evening. She was having such a good time. Dad, she started. Taking a deep breath, she said the words she knew were going to disappoint him. I don't want to go to university. She avoided his eyes and waited for him to shout that she was making a big mistake, but when he spoke, his voice was warm. I know, he said. What do you mean, I know? Lisa looked at him confused, but he was smiling. I'm your dad. I could see that whenever I talked about university, you looked unhappy. And what's important to me, he said, taking her hand gently in his, is that you're happy. So can I join the police? If that's what you want, he smiled. Do you mean that? Asked Lisa excitedly. She threw her arms around him. Well, if Lisa is going to join the police, then you two could always become private investigators, he said, and Claire laughed. I'm serious. You found Lisa before the police did. But the girls were laughing too much to take him seriously. Here's to us. Charlie's Angels, laughed Lisa, making another toast. It'll soon be midnight. Shall we go outside with everyone else? At last, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8, 7, everyone shouted. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Fireworks filled the sky with loud bangs and a beautiful rainbow of colour. Sydney was impressive at any time of year, but the harbour at New Year was unforgettable. Any plans for the future could wait until tomorrow. It was too good here and now. Chapter 1. From England to Tahiti. It was a cold day in December, 1787. There was a strong wind and a green sea. 3 men and a boy stood on the deck of the little ship, HMS Bounty. Behind them, on the land, were some hills and small white houses. The ship moved slowly out to sea. The boy, Peter Hayward, was 14 years old. He was a young officer and he was happy and excited. England looks very small, Mr. Christian, he said. Fletcher Christian smiled at him. Christian was a tall young man with black hair and a long, tired face. England is small, he said. But we're going to some much smaller islands. Tahiti, the Friendly Islands. They're small, but they're very warm and beautiful. A sailor, John Adams, laughed. That's right, Mr. Christian, sir, he said. Good food, warm sun, blue skies, and hot, beautiful women, too. I want... Be quiet, man, someone shouted. Christian and Haywood looked behind them. They saw the captain, William Bligh. He was a small man with brown hair. Christian knew Bligh well. They were friends. But Bligh was a captain now, so things were different. The Bounty was his first ship, and it was very important to him. "Don't talk about women on my ship, Adams," he said angrily. "Be quiet and sail this ship. Do you hear?" "Yes, sir," said Adams quietly. "Now listen to me, Mr. Christian. And you too, Mr. Haywood." Bligh stood very near them, but he didn't speak quietly. All the sailors could hear him. "I'm the captain of this ship. Remember that. We're going 30,000 kilometers through bad weather and very bad seas, and I don't want any accidents. You are officers, so you don't talk to sailors about women or drink or anything. You must work hard, and your sailors must work hard too. Do you understand me, Mr. Christian?" "Yes, sir," said Christian, but he didn't look happy. "Good. And you, Mr. Haywood?" "Yes, sir." The boy looked at Bligh, afraid. Then Bligh smiled. "Is this your first time at sea, boy?" "Yes, sir." "Well, you must work hard and listen to me. One day, perhaps, you can be a captain too. Would you like that?" "Yes, sir, of course." Peter Haywood smiled. "Right then, Mr. Christian. Look at those men there. They aren't working. Run and talk to them quickly." Bligh smiled again at Haywood. In a happy ship, the men must work hard, but the officers must work harder. Do you understand, boy? The Bounty sailed south across the Atlantic. For 10 days they were in a storm near Cape Horn, but they could not sail west because of the strong west wind. So they sailed east to South Africa, Tasmania, and Tahiti. There were 33 sailors on the Bounty and 11 officers. Bligh was the captain. Christian was his second officer. The ship was often wet and cold, but no one was ill. Once Bligh gave the sailors some apples, but they would not eat them because they were old and bad. Bligh was very angry. "Damn you men," he shouted. "Apples are good for you. You eat them, I say." On 26th of October 1788, the Bounty arrived at Tahiti. The islanders came to the ship in big canoes with food. The King of Tahiti, Otoo, was friendly. Bligh went to Otoo's house and gave him things from the King of England. "Thank you, Captain," Otoo said. "You are welcome here. I must give the King of England something too. But he's a rich man. What would he like? Do you know?" Bligh smiled. It was an important question. "My king is very rich, Otoo," he said. "But we don't have any breadfruit trees in England. My king would like some, for his people in Jamaica. Can I take some on my ship?" Otoo laughed. "Of course," he said. "That's easy. Take lots of them. My people can help you." The Bounty stayed at Tahiti for 5 months, and by March there were 1,000 breadfruit trees on the ship. Tahitian children played on the ship, and in the evenings the sailors danced and sang with the women. One morning some sailors and Tahitian women took a ship's boat to a different island. Bligh was very angry. When the sailors came back, he put chains on their legs. Then he shouted at his officers and men. "You men must stay away from these women," he said. "You must all listen to me and work hard for me and the king." Some officers kept pigs on the ship. Sometimes Bligh took the pigs from his officers. "I'm giving this food to the sailors," he said. "They need it, not you." April 4th was the Bounty's last day in Tahiti. The ship was full of food and people, Otoo and his family, all the sailors and their Tahitian friends. but nobody sang or danced. Everyone was quiet and sad. Peter Haywood saw John Adams with a Tahitian woman. She cried and he talked to her for the last time. Then she got into a canoe and went back to the island. Peter stood near him sadly. The sun went down in the west. "Mr. Christian," shouted Captain Bligh, "are all the Tahitians off the ship?" "Yes, sir," Christian answered. "Good. Then we sail for Jamaica and then back to Old England." He looked at Peter. "Don't stand there, boy. Get to work. Look at all our beautiful breadfruit trees. King George is going to be very happy about them." Chapter 2. Mutiny. On the evening of the 26th of April, Adams saw Bligh on deck. He looked angry and stopped near Fletcher Christian. "Mr. Christian," Bligh said, "where are my coconuts? I had 50 yesterday, and there are only 20 here now. Where are they? Do you know?" "No, sir," Christian said. "I don't know. I never saw them. I didn't take them. You know that." Captain Bligh looked at his tall young officer and said nothing. Bligh and Christian were once friends, Adams remembered. But not now. Bligh was often angry. Christian was always worried, afraid. Bligh said, "Mr. Christian, you took my coconuts." "I know you did. You're my second officer, but all you officers take my things. God damn you all." At 4 o'clock that morning, Adams saw Christian again. It was a quiet night, and the ship moved slowly through the water. Christian had a piece of wood with him and a bag. His face was white in the moonlight. A young officer, George Stewart, talked to Christian. "What are you doing, Mr. Christian?" Stewart asked. "I'm in hell," Christian said. "Bligh doesn't like me or any of his officers. I must leave the ship." "Leave? What are you talking about? How?" "I have some food in this bag and wood, and I can swim," Christian said. "We're not far from the island of Tafua. Perhaps I can swim there." "Swim to Tafua? Of course you can't, man. Do you want to die?" "It doesn't matter. I can't stay here with that man. I'm in hell, I tell you. Every day he shouts at me, and it takes a year to sail to England. I must leave the ship." "I understand," Stewart said. "Many of us are afraid of Bligh. We don't like him. But you must stay. You're our best officer. Listen to me now." Bligh was in bed when the door opened. Christian came in with 3 sailors. It was still dark. Bligh opened his eyes. In the moonlight, he saw the gun in Christian's hand. "What?" Bligh sat up. "Get out, damn you! This is my hold him," Christian said. The sailors put Bligh's arms behind his back and Christian tied them with a rope. "Now, sir, come with us." They took Bligh out of his bed and up onto the deck. He wore a shirt but no trousers or shoes. There were 10 or 12 men there with guns and small swords. Christian held Bligh's hands with the rope, and Adams stood behind Bligh with a gun. "What are you doing?" Bligh said angrily. "Let me go at once. You're—" "Be quiet," Adams said. "Listen to Mr. Christian." "But I'm the captain." "Not now. This is our ship now," Christian said. "Adams, put the launch in the water." The launch was a small boat 7 meters long. Adams put it in the water next to the ship. "Right," Christian said. "Thank you, Adams. You stay with me." Christian looked at some other sailors. He didn't like them. "You men," he said, "get into that boat. Quickly now." "No," Bligh shouted. "All of you stay on this ship. Help me now." He began to run, but Christian held the rope and Adams held a knife to his neck. "Do that again, Captain Bligh, and you're a dead man," he said quietly. At the front of the ship, Peter Hayward came up on deck. "What's happening?" he asked. He was afraid. "Be quiet, Peter," Christian said. "You stay there. Get into the launch, you men," he shouted. "I told you." Slowly, 18 sailors got into the launch. Then Christian took Bligh to the side of the ship. "Now you, Captain," he said. "Over the side." 2 men carried Bligh over the side of the ship. Then the sailors threw some bread into the launch, with a barrel of water, a little meat, bottles of rum and wine, some rope and sails, and some of the captain's books. "You see, we aren't going to kill you," Christian said. "You can live on that for a week or 2. "But why are you doing this, Christian?" Bligh shouted angrily. "I'm your captain and your friend." "No, you're not. Not now," Christian said. "Don't you understand? I'm in hell with you here on this ship." "You're going to be in hell all your life now, Christian, because of this," Bligh said. Bligh sat in the launch with 18 men. Christian and the sailors watched him from the back of the ship. Then they opened a bottle of rum and laughed. "England is that way, Captain Bligh," one of the sailors said. 30,000 kilometres to the north." "Forget England, my friend," Adams said. "I'm thinking about Tahiti and those beautiful women. We're going to be happy now on Tahiti with Mr. Christian." Christian looked at Adams for a minute, but he didn't smile. His face in the early morning sun was white and cold. Then he looked at the launch, far away across the sea, with 19 men in it. "Tahiti, England, or the Bounty. It doesn't matter, John," he said. "I'm going to live and die in hell." Chapter 3. In the launch. The launch was 7 meters long and there were 19 men in it. Captain Bligh sat at the back of the launch and looked at his men. The sides of the launch were only 30 centimeters above the sea. "Mr. Hall, look at our food, please," Bligh said. "Yes, sir." Bligh looked away over the sea. The Bounty was very far away now, but there was a small island, Tafua, about 20 kilometers to the west. After some minutes, Mr. Hall, a young officer, said, "Sir, we have 150 kilos of bread, 2 kilos of meat, 6 bottles of rum, and 126 litres of water, sir." "Is that all?" Bligh asked. "We have a small sail and some coats, sir," Hall said. "That's all." "Thank you, Mr. Hall," Bligh said. "It's not much, but we're going to Tafua, so perhaps we can find some more food and water there." Bligh was afraid, but he didn't want them to see that. The men were quiet. They didn't look angry. Next day they landed at Tafua. They found breadfruit, bananas and coconuts, but no water. A lot of islanders came down to the sea. "Where is your ship?" they asked. "It sank," Bligh said. "All our friends are dead. We need food and water." The islanders laughed. It was not a friendly laugh. They talked quietly. More men came. Soon there were nearly 100. They began to pick up stones. "Get back into the boat," Bligh said. "Quickly, now." But the islanders killed 1 man with stones. When the launch went out to sea, the islanders came after it in their canoes. They threw stones at the sailors. "Throw the coats into the sea," Bligh said. "Quick!" The islanders stopped and picked the coats out of the sea. Then the canoes went back to Tafua. "We can't land on any islands then," Bligh said. "Not without a big ship and guns." He looked at his men. They were quiet and afraid. "We must be very careful with our food," he said. "Every man can have a small piece of bread and coconut today and a cup of water. That's all. When it's cold, we can have some rum. But don't worry. Remember, I'm your captain. Listen to me, and we can stay alive." "Yes, sir." Then the youngest, a boy called Robert Tinkler, said, "I want to go home." Bligh looked at him, and for a minute the boy was afraid, because Bligh was often angry. Then he saw a small, cold smile on Bligh's face. "To England, Robert?" "Yes, sir." "Well, that's about 30,000 kilometres away. So first, let's find Timor. That's much nearer. There are Dutch ships there. They can take us home." "Yes, sir." The boy looked happier. "How far is it to Timor, sir?" For a minute Bligh didn't answer. He looked away over the cold green sea. The wind was stronger now and the sky was dark. "Oh, not far," he said slowly. "Only about 7,000 kilometres." Next morning the wind got stronger and stronger, and the launch went up and down over big green waves. Everyone was wet, and white water came into the launch. The sailors used the empty coconuts to throw the water back into the sea. At midday they ate 5 small coconuts and drank some rum, and they ate some wet breadfruit in the evening. The wind and waves were strong all night, so no one could sleep. Next day the bread was wet, but they didn't throw it away. In the afternoon it rained, and they caught the water in cups and coconuts. But it rained all night, so everyone was cold and wet. The launch was small, so they could not all sleep. Most men sat up all night. On 8th May it was sunny. The men took off their wet shirts and trousers. Bligh gave them some rum, coconut milk, and 80 grams of bread. Often he talked about New Guinea, Australia, and Timor. There were storms for the next 2 weeks. Sometimes they saw the sun for an hour, but every day it rained. Big green waves threw white water into the launch. They were always wet, tired, and hungry. 3 times they saw islands, but they didn't go near them. They ate bad bread and old meat, but they had lots of rainwater to drink. When they were very wet, Bligh gave his men some rum. No one could sleep for more than 1 or 2 hours. But every hour Bligh held a long rope over the side. The rope had knots in it. The men watched carefully. The knots went behind the launch, and Bligh looked at his watch. "We're going quickly today," Bligh told them, and wrote in a little book. "We're going about 160 kilometres every day," he told his men. "But we can't always sail west because of the wind. So I'm sorry, but today we can only have 40 grams of bread." "Bad bread too," said one man, Purcell. "Yes, but it keeps us alive," Bligh answered angrily. Then he laughed. "Look up there," he said. There was a bird on the front of the launch. Its small yellow eye looked at them. Carefully, 2 sailors opened their hands, very slowly. The bird didn't move. One man put his hand on it. The bird moved away, but at the same time his friend caught the bird's feet and killed it. The sailors laughed and shouted. It was only a very small black and white bird, but it was food. Good food! I caught it, the first sailor said. No, you didn't, the other man said. I did. Be quiet, Bligh said. Give it to me. He cut the bird with his knife and caught its red blood in a cup. The men drank the blood. Then Bligh cut the bird into 18 pieces and put them in front of him. Right, he said. Friar, sit here with your back to the bird. Now, I have one piece of the bird in my hand. He held up a piece of its leg. Tell me, Friar, who shall have this? Ledward, Friar said. All right. Bligh gave the piece to Ledward and picked up a second piece. And who shall have this? Hall. All right. No one was angry, because Friar couldn't see the pieces. Everyone watched. Bligh picked up the bird's head and feet. Who shall have this? He asked. Bligh, Friar answered. Everyone laughed, and Bligh looked at the head and feet sadly. Oh well, he said, I know it's good for me. Slowly he began to eat them. That evening, they caught a bigger bird and ate that too. Next day they caught one more. Everyone was happy. Why are all these birds here? The boy Robert asked. Bligh smiled. Because we are near land, he said. On the 28th of May at midnight, they saw white water in front of them. The barrier reef, Bligh said. A line of rocks under water. We must be careful. Ships often sink here. Take down the sail and move slowly. We must find a way through. They sailed slowly near the white, angry water. Then, after 4 hours, they found a way through. Behind the barrier reef, the sea was blue and quiet. They sailed quietly to a small island. They could sleep on the island and walk about. They began to look stronger, but they were 2,000 kilometers from Timor, so they could not stay long. After 6 days they went to sea again, west towards Timor. The sun was very hot, and 2 men were ill. Bligh gave them some rum and the blood of birds. But they can't live much longer in a little boat like this, he thought. We're all tired and hungry. Someone is going to die soon. But it was not far now. Every hour Bligh held the rope over the side and wrote in his little book. He watched the sun and the sea and the sky, and then, on 11th June, Bligh said, You cannot see it, but south of us there's a big island called Timor. They laughed and smiled and sang. Next day they saw the island, green trees and hills. 2 days later they came to a town called Kaupang. There were some Dutch sailors by the sea. Bligh and his men walked up to them. Who are you? A Dutch officer asked. You look hungry and ill. Where are you from? I'm Captain William Bligh of the English ship HMS Bounty. These men are English sailors. We left Tafua 41 days ago. Tafua? The Dutch officer asked. Where is that? It is a small island, about 7,000 kilometers away. We came in that small launch. My God! 41 days. In that. The Dutchman looked at the launch, and for a minute he said nothing. Then he asked, Did many of you die? Bligh smiled. Oh no, only one, and the islanders on Tafua killed him. 17 men left Tafua with me, and 17 men are here now. Alive. Chapter 4. The Pandora, on 14th March 1790, Bligh and his men arrived in England. When he told the story of the mutiny, English people were very angry. They sent Captain Edwards, in the Pandora, to Tahiti. On the 23rd of March 1791, the Pandora arrived in Tahiti. Captain Edwards and his men looked carefully at the island. They could see a lot of trees and small houses, but no English ship. Then, a small canoe came out to the Pandora. The 3 men in the canoe shouted and smiled. "I think they're Englishmen, sir," a sailor said. "All right," Captain Edwards said. "They can come on the ship. Perhaps they can tell us something." The 3 men were brown and strong, but they wore English sailors' hats and trousers. One of them, a boy about 18 years old, smiled at Edwards. "Good morning, sir. My name is Peter Hayward. I'm a young officer from the Bounty. This is Mr. Stewart and Joseph Coleman, a sailor." "Yes, I see," said Edwards. "3 of you. Where are your friends? Where is Mr. Christian and the Bounty?" Hayward looked worried. "Mr. Christian, he sailed away in the Bounty, sir. A year ago, I think, but we didn't go with them. We waited for you. We aren't afraid." "I see," Edward said. He looked at them carefully. "All right then. Tell me your story. What happened after Christian put Captain Bligh in the launch?" "Well, sir," Hayward said, "we threw the breadfruit trees into the sea and sailed here to Tahiti. O2, the king of Tahiti, was good to us, and a lot of men wanted to stay here. But Mr. Christian was afraid. 'We can't stay here,' he said, 'because a ship is going to come from England.' So O2 gave us a lot of pigs and goats and food, and we sailed to a different island, Tubuai. Some islanders from Tahiti came with us, 8 men, 9 women, and 7 boys. But the people of Tubuai didn't like us, and some of us didn't like Mr. Christian. So Mr. Christian sailed the Bounty back to Tahiti and left 16 of us here." "And then?" Captain Edwards was excited. "What did Mr. Christian do?" he asked. "He sailed away in the Bounty, sir." "I see. And how many men went with him?" 9 sailors, I think, sir. But they took 7 Tahitian men and 12 women too." "I see," Edwards said. He looked at them angrily. 16 men stayed on Tahiti, and 3 of you are here. So where are the other 13? Are they waiting for me too on the island?" Well, yes, sir, Peter Hayward stopped. He was worried and afraid. "They were here, but they aren't here now," said George Stewart quickly. He put his hand on Peter Hayward's arm. "They sailed away too." "Oh, did they?" Captain Edwards asked. "When?" Hayward and Stewart both spoke at once. 4 days? 2 weeks ago, sir," they said. Then they stopped. Edwards watched them. "I see," he said slowly. "First you were in a mutiny, and now you tell me things that are not true." "Sailor." "Yes, sir," one of the Pandora's sailors answered. "Put these 3 men in chains. They are prisoners." "But, sir," Peter Hayward said, "we didn't run away. We came to tell you our story, and Mr. Stewart has a wife." "A wife?" Captain Edwards laughed. "Is she at home in England?" "No, sir, here," Mr. Stewart answered. "She's a Tahitian woman. Her name is Peggy, Mrs. Peggy Stewart, and we have a daughter." Edwards laughed again. "A Tahitian woman. I'm sorry for her, but don't worry. She can come on the ship and see you in your new prison. Look behind you. We have a wonderful prison for you and your friends. Look." The three sailors looked behind them. On the deck of the Pandora was a wooden box, about 2 meters high and 4 meters long. It had a small door but no windows. The Pandora's sailors put the prisoners in the box, with chains on their arms and legs. Captain Edwards laughed. "There! Are you happy now? You can stay there, all the way to England." "But my wife, my little daughter," Stuart said. The door closed in his face. "We didn't put Bligh in the launch. Christian did. We came to tell you everything." Edwards laughed, and Peter Hayward said nothing. Captain Edwards caught 11 more men and put them in the Pandora's box too. Their Tahitian wives and children came onto the Pandora and cried, but Captain Edwards didn't open the door. For 3 months the Pandora sailed to different islands and the prisoners stayed in the box. But Edwards couldn't find Christian or the Bounty, and so he began to sail home. Near Australia, the Pandora hit the barrier reef. Water came into the ship, and the sailors couldn't stop it. After 12 hours, Captain Edwards said, "We must leave the ship." "Get into the boats, men." The prisoners could hear the noise outside, and water came in through the door. Captain Edwards took 3 prisoners out, but then he closed the door. "What about us?" Peter Hayward shouted. "Please, Captain, open the door. Why are you leaving us in here?" "Be quiet, boy," said Captain Edwards. "We're working hard now. The ship is sinking." "But we're going to die. We can't move," George Stewart shouted. "Open the door." But Edwards closed the door and no one helped them. Outside, the first sailors got into the boats and rowed away. Inside the box, the prisoners hit the walls and shouted, but they couldn't move because of the chains. After an hour, a sailor opened the door and helped them out of their chains. But there was very little time. All of them got their legs free, but some couldn't get their arms free. Peter Hayward was nearly the last man to get out. In the sea, he held on to some wood. He saw George Stewart and 4 other prisoners. They couldn't swim because of the chains on their arms. "Help me, Peter," Stewart called. But the sea took Stewart away. Peter Hayward never saw his friend again. Peter Hayward landed on a small island with some prisoners, Captain Edwards and the Pandora's sailors. They had 4 boats, but only 1 small barrel of water and some bread. Like Captain Bligh, they sailed to the Dutch island of Timor. Then a Dutch ship took them to England. They arrived on the 19th of June, 1792. Peter Hayward looked across the water at the green hills and small houses. "Home," he said quietly to a Dutch sailor. "England is very beautiful, you know. I left here 5 years ago." "Are you going to see your family?" the Dutchman asked. "Not yet," Peter answered. "I must go to my trial first, and the punishment for mutiny, you know." He stopped. The wind moved his brown hair. The Dutchman put a hand on his arm. "I know, Peter," he said sadly. "The punishment for mutiny is death." Chapter 5. Death, Life, and Thursday. There were 9 captains at the trial. Peter Hayward stood in front of them and talked about the night of the mutiny. "It was 4 years ago," he said. "I was a young officer, 15 years old. When I came up on deck, Captain Bligh was Mr. Christian's prisoner. How could I help him? I didn't have a sword or a gun. Mr. Christian put Captain Bligh and 18 men into the launch. One of the 9 captains asked, "Did you try to help Captain Bligh, Mr. Hayward?" "No, sir. I couldn't. Christian and his men had swords and guns. I had nothing." A different captain asked, "Did Mr. Christian do the right thing then?" "What do you think?" "No, sir, of course not." "But you didn't get into the launch with Captain Bligh. Why not?" "I couldn't, sir. It was full. There were 19 men in it. It nearly sank without me." "Did you say anything to Captain Bligh?" No, sir, I didn't. Some men did, but not me." "So, Mr. Hayward, you were an officer on the Bounty and you saw this mutiny, but you did nothing. You just stood and watched. Is that right?" Yes, sir." Peter Hayward was afraid now. "I was very young then, sir. You were an officer. An officer must always help his captain. Wait there." The 9 captains walked out of the room. Peter waited for a long time. His mother and sister were with him, but he felt afraid. Then the captains came back, and the oldest captain said, "Peter Hayward, because you did not help Captain Bligh, we say you helped the mutiny. And there is only one punishment for mutiny: death. Do you understand?" Peter's face was white and he felt ill. But he said quietly, "Yes, sir, I understand." 2 days later he saw the oldest captain again. There was a small, cold smile on his face. "Mr. Hayward, I have a letter from the king. The oldest sailors must die, but because you were a young boy on the Bounty, the king says you can live. You can go, Mr. Hayward. You are a free man." "Oh, sir." "Thank you. Thank you very much." Peter Hayward lived for many years. 20 years later, he was a captain of a ship, like Captain Bligh. Captain Bligh went back to Tahiti and took some more breadfruit trees to Jamaica. After that, he sailed many more ships. He was an important man. He died in 1817. But what happened to the Bounty and Fletcher Christian? For years no one knew. Then, 20 years after the mutiny in 1809, an American ship, the Topaz, visited a small island called Pitcairn. When the captain of the Topaz came home, he had an interesting story. And 5 years after that, in 1814, 2 British ships, the Briton and the Tagus, arrived. Pitcairn was a small island with nowhere good for ships to land. But a canoe came out through the white water to the British ships. The men from the canoe came on to the Briton and looked for the captain, Sir Thomas Staines. "Good afternoon," he said. "Who are you?" A tall young man answered, "I'm Thursday." "I'm sorry," Captain Staines said. "What did you say?" "My name is Thursday," answered the young man. "Thursday, October, Christian. I live on this island. You are welcome here. Would you like to come to my village and eat with us? Mr. Adams would like to see you." "Well, thank you very much," said Captain Staines. "And Captain Pipon, from the Tagus Khan, he come too?" "Of course," said Thursday. "He is welcome." The 2 captains got into the canoe, and Thursday and his friends took it through big green and white waves to the island. Near the beach was a small village. "How many people live here?" Captain Staines asked. "About 40, said Thursday. "Here is our king, John Adams." An old man with white hair came towards the 2 captains. He wore trousers and an English sailor's shirt. "Good afternoon," he said. "My name is John Adams. of HMS Bounty. Welcome to Pitcairn Island." Some old women gave the captains wonderful food, and John Adams told them his story. When the Bounty left Tahiti, Christian was very worried. "A ship is going to come from England," he said. "They want to kill me. They must never find us." So when we landed here, we took all the pigs and goats and burned the Bounty. We stood by the sea and watched. Then we made our village. But Christian was always worried and afraid, and it was difficult to live here. The Tahitian men didn't like the English sailors. There were 10 Englishmen, 7 Tahitian men, and 12 Tahitian women. When Christian took the wife of one of the Tahitian men, the Tahitian man killed him. Then the Tahitian men killed most of the Englishmen. They nearly killed me. But the women stopped them. The women killed the Tahitian men. After that, there was 1 man alive on the island, me. But there were 9 women and some small children. This young man, Thursday, is Fletcher Christian's son." "Oh, I see," said Captain Staines. "So you were alone here with 9 wives?" John Adams smiled. He looked a tired but happy man. The old women near him smiled too. "Well, yes, sir," he said. "But I'm a good husband to them, and a good father to all these children. And of course, now that these boys are men, they have wives too." "Do you all speak English?" Captain Peapon asked. "Yes, sir. English and Tahitian too. We have our pigs and goats and coconut trees, and we think about God every day, sir." "You are very happy," Captain Staines said. "We are, sir," John Adams said. "All of us." But he stood up slowly. "I know why you are here. You are going to take me to England with you. I must die there." Captain Staines looked at him. The Pitcairn Islanders looked very sad, and some of the women began to cry. "What do you mean, man?" Captain Staines asked. "Well, Captain, I was in the mutiny against Captain Bligh. It was a long time ago, but I did it. I must take my punishment." "But my God!" Captain Staines looked at Captain Peapon. "Of course the man is right," he said. "But we can't do this. You're an old man, Mr. Adams, and you are happy here. Your wives and children need you. It was 20 years ago, man. People in England don't talk about the Bounty today. And Fletcher Christian is dead." "He is dead, but I'm not," John Adams said. "I helped him, and I'm here, now, in front of you." "And this is your home," Captain Staines said. "You are an old man. You must die here, not in England. Sit down, Mr. Adams. Let's finish this wonderful food." "All right, Captain," John Adams said. "And thank you." He sat down, and the Pitcairn Islanders smiled. "Tell me about Bligh," Captain Staines said. "He's an important man now, you know. But most people like him. Why were you all angry with him?" Adams thought for a minute. He looked up at the trees over his village and at the smiling faces of his wives and children. "Bligh," he said. "Well, he was a good sailor, of course. We were angry with him, but I can't remember why. It's a very long time ago."